Hey Reaper Wolf, what's going on? Thanks for stopping by. Hey Jackie, what's going on? Thank you for stopping by. Hey Joseph, thank you for stopping by as well. I appreciate it. I appreciate both you guys coming by. Whoops, I wasn't supposed to... I do remember what it was, though. Ooh, it was this one. Haha. I remembered. I'm such a good rememberer. Only that thing and nothing else. Otherwise, I'm very forgetful. Hey Preston, what's going on? Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. I have to find my, Is it you? There we go. There we go. Let me open my Twitch pop out, even though no one goes to Twitch, but that's fine. That's just a little Twitch thing for the fans, in case anyone prefers Twitch or, you know, my YouTube channel. Peterson Bird, shiny red just needs to be white. By the way, you're gonna shiny hunt Ashcat Pikachu. Probably not, because there's like 15 or 16 NPCs in there, and it's just like, it's so hard to RNG when there's that many NPCs around, basically. I was considering going for it, but man, you know, Type Null had 8 NPCs, and that was like borderline too much for me, you know. What am I even? Eon Timer, right? That's what I'm looking for. Boop. I believe 3233 was what I was on last night for Legendary, right? I do have a comm synchronizer, I believe, right? Any tips on wild RNG abuse? Okay, so you really have to make sure you're in the correct spot is one of the big things, honestly. You know, even if you're a little bit off from the proper RNGing spot, if you're talking Ultra Sun and Moon, of course, if you're a little bit off from the proper spot, then you're gonna having a brain fart. Then you could potentially add an NPC into the area or something. So be careful about that, I would say. Let me continue with the things now that I've got everything else set up. There we go. About that. Top one wasted money is Fortnite. Yeah, I've never played Fortnite. And I probably never will, honestly. More of a, ever since I have good internet, so long story short, when I was at my parents' house, when I still lived with my parents, my internet was only via Wi-Fi. There was no Ethernet in my room. But now now that I am on my own, I have an Ethernet connection for my computer, and my internet is so good, and I could play Smash Bros. Melee online and Project M online, and like those are the only online games I've even been playing since I moved, basically. I was playing League a little bit while I was here, but I hate that game. Don't ever play Fortnite, it's bad. What Ultra Beasts and Legendaries do I have shinies that are... do I consider to have shinies that are bad? Hey Damo, what's going on? How are you doing, my friend? Legendaries that have bad... Legendaries that have bad shinies. It might not count, but I think yeah, dude, it's awesome. I have to pin it. I've just been I was really tired when I got home today, basically. And then I just started watching like a bunch of ocean documentary videos about jellyfish and shit. So that's basically what happened. I'm probably going to pin it as actually my Twitter picture as well. Yeah, dude, I'm just exhausted after today. I got home much later than usual today. I didn't get home till almost 6 o'clock today. Honestly, I probably got home at like 5:45. I'm almost always home by like 4:30, so I was just home way later. 14-hour shift. Holy shit! No, I did not work. What do you do? Are you in like are you in food, Preston? That sounds like a that sounds like a food shift. Sounds like a food industry shift if I was a betting man, but you never know. I don't know what all industries do. I'm a blisy. It's actually funny. I tell this story all the time, but everyone seems to like it. Basically, I used to run a website in high school, and a guy would come into it was a Pokemon website, and a guy would come into the Pokemon website chat. Guy would come to the Pokemon chat, and back then everyone only played. I'm not counting that one. A guy would come into the Pokemon chat, and back then everyone played with Smogon rules, right? VGC didn't exist when 4th Gen started, and so everyone played with Smogon rules. And this guy's team was always like, basically at the time it would have been something like, Blisy, Skarmory, Scizor, Zapdos, Infernape, stuff like that. And so someone was like, "Hey, Dr. Ouija," that's his tag. So why do you always have a Blisy on your team? And he just types exactly how my name is. I'm a Blisy. And I thought it was the funniest thing. And I forgot about it. Years later, like 10 years later, I'm playing League of Legends with my friend. And he was like, yeah, I was going through my old photo bucket and look at the screenshot I found. And he showed the screenshot of him saying, I'm a Blisy. And it was so funny to me in that moment. That I changed my league name. And then when I had gone to a Smash Bros. Tournament, I made that my tag. Hello, Brian. How's it going? Thanks for stopping by, friend. Hope you are doing well. I'll go for this one. I think it's the Better Nature. Peterson. So I think the worst shiny is... It technically doesn't count because it's not released, but I think Marshadow shiny is really bad. Yeah, Jackie, it's supposed to... Oopsie daisy. 0. It's supposed to thunderstorm pretty badly here as well. Weird to say, oh, this all doesn't get to you. I owe my name to him. That's definitely for sure. Modern Magirna is also bad. I don't know what that looks like. I definitely disagree with you on Blacephalon, though. I think Blaze looks really, really cool. Blaze's shiny is like super sick. It's like that cool-ass blue, man. I really like that. Yeah, I definitely owe my name to Ouija. That is actually for sure. I'll tell you that right now. Favorite Gen 7 Pokemon. Oof. Okay, so I think it has to be... Oh, okay, it's a 3-way tie. I will tell you that. Hold on, but the time's coming up. 6. Okay, so it's like just his eyes, isn't it? It's like just his eyes changed. It's not like I don't hate it or nothing. No, I think you're thinking of Brian. You're thinking of, isn't it? And past Magirna hasn't been released either. The one that looks like a Pokeball. Dude, I wish AZ's Flowite got released. Okay, so my favorite Alolan form is obviously and correctly Alolan Exeggutor. I don't think, you know, it's like, how could you like another Alolan form more than you like Alolan Exeggutor? I personally could not understand how one could enjoy, because Alolan Exeggutor is, I think, objectively the best Pokemon. However, if we're talking non-Alolan, I really like Araquanid a lot. He's super cool, and he's like fun to battle with. And I also, a close second to Araquanid in terms of my favorites is Delmise. I think Delmise is super cool. There's Shiny. You know, I really don't have a favorite Shiny, if I'm honest. I really like Suicune's Shiny. And Vikavolt cool. My problem with Vikavolt is he's just like, he's like not usable. Like he takes, I know Ultra Sun and Moon fixed this a bit, but in Sun and Moon he was just like, he took so long to get, you know what I mean? Like to be able to use. It's just weird. Oh, Alolan Marowak is actually super cool too. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You don't, I would never run a Jolly Alolan Marowak though, it's too slow. I think he's really good under Trick Room or as like a slow pivot. You finally got Regirock? Yes, I did. I had 61 frames to get Regirock Kajito. It was super lucky. Yeah, it's really slow. It sucks. It's unfortunate. So yeah, I really like Suicune as a shiny. I think its shiny is really good. Shiny Pikachu's not great though in terms of like its visuals. It's okay. I guess if cosplay Pikachu's like costumes changed colors, then that would be kind of sick. How do they fix it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can evolve it earlier, right? Vikavolt, hey Beta, what's going on? Thank you for stopping by. Vikavolt, I believe you could only evolve in Victory Road, just like Magnezone. But now you can evolve it at the power plant, can't you? Like on Ula Ula, right? It's Ula Ula with the power plant, I believe. So I have been getting very far off from my target, but that's okay. It's just my first 1372. Oops. Alright, there we go. But it's okay because it was my first few RNGs. Unfortunately, cosplay Pikachu is locked in a rest, yeah. That's a little unfortunate in my opinion, just because it had some extra moves that were good for, yeah, but, you know, think about Spike-Eared Pichu's, which I still have mine. Spike-Eared Pichu isn't, Spike-Eared Pichu isn't, it doesn't have any moves that are special, right? God, Regice's Cry is so cool. Hey GD, what's going on? Thank you for stopping by. Zerora, have a little trouble saying its name, but Zerora is cool. Design-wise, I think. A lot of people gave it shit for some reason, but I don't really know why. I like it just fine. I don't know how good it is in terms of its usability. Like, I haven't battled with it, and I haven't done much OU laddering as of late or anything like that. So I don't know how actually good it is. It seems like it'll be okay at the very least in terms of my theory is it'll probably be not great just on the grounds that it's definitely strictly I think strictly what's it, worse than Tapu Koko. I mean, Game Freak has clearly been trying to make another Lucario in, I think, every gen since it came out. Well, maybe that's not true, but Gen 5 definitely had a clone Lucario. It had, what was it called? Who's the boy? Zoroark. It had Zoroark. So, They tried that again. Yeah, Brian knew. So it's like, you know, they've definitely tried again. Gen 6, man, the thing about Gen 6 is Gen 6's Lucario was just Mega Lucario. In my mind, anyway. But it wasn't pushed like Zoroark was. Greninja was the one that was heavily pushed in terms of, hey kids, this is what should be popular. That's mostly based on its inclusion in Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS. That train of thought, and its, you know, prominent role in the anime, along with its unique form. But they failed with Zoroark. I think Zoroark's pretty popular. You know, I think Zoroark is a decently popular Pokemon. It would have definitely been more popular, I think, if it was in the new Smash Brothers. You know, if Smash Brothers for Wii U had come out slightly earlier, they would have probably put in Zoroark instead of Greninja. But they put Greninja in, so. So it would have been much more popular. I think. I just think the Pokemon that make it into Smash Brothers gain an inherent popularity. I think well, new gen Pokemon anyway. Yeah, you could only get a Zoroark if you had legendary beasts from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Michael. And welcome to the stream, Michael. Thank you for stopping by. Nice, Mark, and welcome to the stream. Shiny Charm is pretty good. I don't have it and probably never will, because I'm a bit lazy. So I don't have any good frames this time, so I'm gonna see if I can get closer to this spot. I think that was part of my problem. I don't know, man. Lucario had a mega, dang it. Lucario had a mega, had a mega in Gen 6 that was like, had a giant statue of itself. It just gives you more potential frames that are shiny. Basically, Brian. Yeah, I always thought Mega Blaziken was to promote the idea of a Hoenn remake. Kinda happy Greninja isn't in Pokken. I mean, yeah, Decidueye is pretty popular this gen, it seems. Gen 3 is the best. Yeah, you know, I've grown much more fond of Gen 3 as of late. I think White 1 is still my favorite Pokemon game by a pretty wide margin. It's really fun. Heart Gold and Soul Silver are also just like, man, they are really good. They are like really good games, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It made Johto and just like those games feel as big as we thought they were when we were kids. You know? It just delivered on the Gold and Silver experience so hard. 604. All right. I think Gen 5 was definitely the last time. Gen 5, in my opinion, was definitely the last time they cared. Gen 5 clearly had like effort in it compared to Gen 7 and 6, which are just like much more lazy takes. Gen 4 was the best. The problem with Gen 4 is Diamond and Pearl are like really bad. Like they're so bad. Like those games, I don't know like how anyone could play Diamond and Pearl. Like, man, talk about technical issues like ruining a game. Also, Diamond and Pearl aren't paced as good as Platinum, aside from the technical issues that they have. They are, nah, dude. I love a lot of those Pokemon. Klinklang, Vanilluxe, and Garbodor are some of my favorite Pokemon. I don't like Emboar very much, but hey, you know. Can't all have the same opinions, but Klinklang, one of my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon to actually utilize in a battle. He's pretty cool, like, just Shift Gear and Gear Grind is such a cool combo, I think. I just wish he had more type coverage than Wild Charge, because he doesn't learn any other physical moves that are worth boosting with Shift Gear. Okay, that's really close. Yeah, they only had Ponyta. I was talking to someone, I forget who this was. It was on Reddit. I was just posting on Reddit. Favorite Pokemon fan game? Oh, Light Platinum, probably. Although, so, Shiny Gold was probably my favorite before Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out, but there's no reason to play that game anymore, really. Hello? Why are you up here? So probably Light Platinum nowadays. I mean, Platinum's way better. Platinum is the only way to experience the Sinnoh region, in my opinion. If you tell someone, like, yeah, Diamond or Pearl are worth playing, like, oh, you know, they're like, they're not. Like, the experience is so much, different, in my opinion. Insurgents or Uranium? I did not like Uranium too much. I've never heard of Insurgents, though. Oh, you know what? Pokemon Brown is also, like, super good. I haven't played his sequel to that. I know Cool Boy Man made a sequel, Pokemon Prism, I believe. I have not played it yet, but... damn, Brown version was hella good, man. They're so bad. I think Diamond and Pearl are so bad. They're like literally... I don't think Region Adventures came out. Did it? I thought Region Adventures was like a beta that he never finished. That was a GBA hack. Yeah, it got released though. It got released like a 98% completion, right? Was Region Adventures really finished? Hold on, I'm Googling this. Hold on 1 second. Wow, it is out. What the hell, man? That's awesome. I didn't know that it came out. Anyway. There is no website that shows the spots for Ultra Sun and Moon. I don't think it's better by much, but yeah, it's definitely a better Pokemon. Three, 7, 4, 0. Wow, I had no idea that game came out. Because I played the demo a long ass time ago, man. Yeah, connecting to Pokemon Ranch. You could still connect Platinum to PBR, though, if you consider that a plus. And Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Yeah, I mean, I believe Dumb Eyes is marginally better. Little school supplies. What time do I stream? I started tonight at like 9:40, but I usually try to start around 8:30 or 9. I started a little late today. Thank you for stopping by. I just think that they should make, you know, Hidden Power. Well, I don't know if Hidden Power is balanced, would be balanced for physical attack. Who knows, though? Where's my water bottle? There it is. No, thank you for stopping by. Natural Gift is pretty cool. It's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to utilize, but I think it's very cool when you're actually able to utilize it effectively. Terrains make it much easier to use nowadays. With all of the Tapus flying around. Regice, your cry is so freaking cool. Alright. 178. 91. 126. 43. 63. Okay. It was early that time. Perspective? I don't believe so. Game Freak opted for 0 camera control, which, you know, is an ingenious move, if you ask me. Yeah, Game Freak doesn't seem too keen on including features from previous games any longer. It's like, what happened with that? Oh yeah, I was talking about this. I got into an argument with a guy on Reddit. He was like, he said something along the lines of like, you know, there was no, I don't remember what game he was talking about. He said that Gen 4 added no significant contributions to Pokemon. And I was like, well, you know, the physical special split, I don't even know what else everyone said. And he was like, all of the things you've listed are like ancillary, like they're not big, important franchise-wide changes. And I said, wait. And so I said, and he was like, yeah, he's like, they're nowhere near as Gen 7's big jumps. And I'm like, what did Gen 7 do at all that you could consider any type of a leap? And he was like, you know, it removed gyms. And I'm like, trials are fundamentally 2928, 292. I was like, trials are fundamentally identical to gyms. they're almost functionally identical as well, I find. Like, it's basically solve an easy puzzle, and then you battle the gym leader, which in this case is just the Z moves are a bigger shake-up than Trials, but he wasn't even listing Z moves. I can see if I found what see if I find out what I said. Yeah. But yeah, I was just like, you're crazy if you think that. Like, what? Oops, I took a really wrong step. Oh, that's the shiny? Hello? I couldn't even tell. Hell yeah, dude. No, you don't fight the trial captain, you fight the... You fight the totem Pokemon. Yeah, dude, spam a Blisy reflex. There's a 1-frame window, baby. Yeah, I'll show you my frame window for that. Boom, I aimed for this one, frame 2784. It appears to be a Jolly Regice, but who gives a crap? Hell yeah. In the mind trial? What's the mind trial? Oh, Mina's. Ha! Jackson Lim. Jackson, I can tell you what I'm doing here. I am RNG abusing, which is basically predicting the random patterns in the game well, I'll show you first of all why I didn't react. If you look on my monitor, it's so hard to tell because of the light, but it doesn't look shiny. It looks like it's regular form on my monitor. That's why it was turning flux off last night, so I could tell the difference. Alright, type the nicknames, everyone. Okay, so the guy said something along the lines of, like, removing HM's he said Pokemon Refresh. Frosty is the first one after I enter the name screen. Frosty. There we go. Yeah, he said, unique post-game in Ultra Sun and Moon. Island Challenge, Pokemon Refresh, no HM. And I'm like, Island Challenge and Refresh are just as surface level as anything in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. That's what I said. Send $2. Does this method work on eggs? There is a different method to work it on eggs, yeah. I have a tutorial on how to do it on my YouTube channel if you're interested. You should check it out and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get Giratina. Giratina is in the yellow holes. That's what I've been trying for. I just don't get it. Yeah, so I said the trials are literally the same thing as gyms, but they don't have trainers. Like, it's just a tiny puzzle, and they're even, like, they're just different in names and aesthetics, but it's just a superficial. Like, trials are just gyms. Like, you know, you could say that they're not. Oh, nice, Peterson. That's awesome to hear, man. So, I don't know. You could say that they're not gyms or that they're different from gyms all you want. But at the end of the day, trials are gyms, and Pokemon Refresh is not a new edition. Shameless plug. Dude, he's he's watching a video on my YouTube channel, on my YouTube stream. I would assume it's a plug. Hell yeah, dude. Listen, I'm trying to get them subscribers, dude. I'm trying to... Oh, dang it. My real issue with the trials is that toward Jerison, you got your shiny Rayquaza today. That's awesome to hear, dude. Okay, so trials. Okay. Some of them are fine. So first of all, here's the thing I do like about the trials. Is I think if you said on average what is more difficult, a totem fight or a gym leader, I think on average totem fights are more difficult. You know, I think there are exceptions where you end up going in with a Z move and you just like dump on the trial, you know. But you know, you could also get stuff like Salazzle or Lurantis or Araquanid. Even Wishy-Washy was not easy. I died to him as well. So some of them can be quite difficult. I actually personally neither time had trouble with Lurantis, but basically I got really lucky and never had a cast form show up. Apparently cast form shows up in that trial and can the cast form can do sunny day, and the thing becomes immune to status with Leaf Guard, and then just like starts dumping on you with solar blades. So I think on average, if you ask me, on average, the totem fights are more difficult and require more strategy than gym leaders. Gym leaders are usually pretty easy, with a few exceptions. Like I think, you know, Whitney is the obvious one that comes to mind, but there are situations that can become very difficult if you don't, you know, have the right thing. I don't think any gym in the original Red, Blue, Yellow is difficult. If you, like, know what you're doing. Like, even if you know what you're doing, in my opinion, when you go to the water trial, and you know it's going to be Araquanid, like, you have to really be ready for that thing, because it just does, just water bubble plus rain, like, it's so much damage, you know? Whitney, okay, so, basically, Whitney is really difficult if, she becomes much harder if you pick... Ooh. Oh, I'm gonna get it. Oh, beautiful. Yes, go into this rumble. So, Alolan Marowak. See, I didn't have difficulty with Alolan Marowak, but I know a lot of people did as well. Yeah, Ultra... Is this Giratina finally? Vishan, dude. Praise Jesus. I'm gonna save here just in case I mess up the walk-up. Alright, so... What nature do I want for him? Calm's probably okay, but... Alright, Calm or Bold. Maybe they're both bad, actually. I think Giratina might do Impish. Let me see. Relaxed. Yeah, because it uses physical attacks, does it not? Oh, no, it doesn't. Well, it actually doesn't run... any attacking moves? Why does this run no attack moves in Ubers? Whatever, then its nature doesn't matter. Yeah, Shiny Giratina is super cool. This is a really cool Shiny Legendary. I really like it. Knives really good as Elf Nature. Like, that's the Elf Nature, basically. I think Jolly nowadays is a bit better. Wait, it goes like this, yeah. Jolly is probably the best nature nowadays if you're running him in OU. But if you're going to use his elf in like UU or something, you can run naive and just do mixed or just switch between special and physical easily. Alright, that's perfect. Alright, nice, dude. We're doing really well today. Let me change the title. Alright. Let's pop this bad boy up here. Uxie's best nature is obviously a nature that slows speed. How long do you take to encounter Shiny Legendary with this method? I don't know, what was that, like 5 attempts, right guys? I got Regice in 40 minutes. Yeah, really like 35 minutes I got Regice. Yeah, it took me about 35 minutes to catch this Regice today. It can either, and you know, the thing is, it can be exponentially faster or slower. Some days I'll spend 2 hours looking for a legendary and I won't get anything. Some days I'll get 4 legendaries in a session and I'll get some legendaries in first encounter with it. It really just depends on, you know, a couple of factors. But on average, it's On average, I would say, for me at this point, my average shiny encounter for a legendary would take like an hour or two, tops. Like, I have almost every Ultra Wormhole legendary shiny at this point, right? Is the RNG frame manipulation? I am not manipulating anything, basically. It is more of a predictive thing. You input these clocks / needles into this program, and then it tells you what your random number is that the game basically assigned you. This is like super layman's terms, by the way. And then it tells you at what time there will be a shiny. So all you have to do is start the encounter at that exact time. And then I have a timer that tells me. Oh, I have my seed. I have a timer that tells me. So here, this is my seed, right? So then I switch windows to this window, right? And then I hit the calculate button. So here, right at 5 seconds, I have a shiny pop up. So I'm going to aim for this one. I'm going to right click, set as target frame. So at 5.4 seconds, a shiny shows up. So then I hit the program. It tells me 324. So I type 324 frames into my clock here, and I start. Then all I have to do is start the encounter. Yeah, Sassy is good for Giratina, definitely. Hey, it's worth it, Joseph. See, it's not shiny now, but you have to do some calibration. It'll make sense when I get it. So now I'm going to figure out how far away I was from the shiny frame so I can adjust my timer to better know. Oh, you know what part of my issue was? I didn't change some settings. I left it as a... Okay, I still missed it. That's fine. Because sometimes the delay could change, but it didn't. So I really didn't make any big mistakes there then. So you catch it to see how far away you are from it. RNG manipulation from Gen 4 was much more like what you were talking about. I mean, Giratina's Origin Forms issue really comes down to the fact that it has to hold a useless item. It's like a much, much, much worse version of a Mega Evolution. And here's the thing, why does it need to hold the Gracias Orb? Why can't it just be like Shaman, where it touches the item and switches? I think Levitate's a fine ability on a tank Pokemon. Okay, so here I'm typing in its stats to see how far away I was. So I type it in, I hit calculate, and I either hit the... So there's too many frames for me to know, but I was either 16 frames early, 6 frames late, or anywhere in between. So, point being, I was relatively close to the Giratina, so I'm actually going to adjust nothing, because my data was inconclusive. That is very good, Cresselia. I do believe Relaxed is probably a bit better for Cresselia, if you ask me. But Sassy's still good too. And you know, the thing is, in general, Relaxed is better, right? Sassy is better in the case that if you are worried, like, it depends on what you're worried about, right? Like, in VGC, obviously, you know, in VGC, for example, if you're going to use it and you're going to pair it with an Intimidator, then you don't really need to run Relaxed compared to running Sassy. But, you know, in singles, if you're worried about getting O-code by a Dark-type move like Knockoff, then Relaxed is obviously superior. But Cresselia's defenses are so strong that, and typically as a Trick Room setter, it really all it needs to do is set up Trick Room and then kill itself. All it needs to do is live one turn and then it'll go first and you can use Looter Dance, so... And I'm just specifically talking OU play as well. Obviously in the lower tiers, Cresselia is a lot more flexible. Yeah, you're in it. See, that makes sense. Yeah, there you go. Looks like Meryl. Meryl's a cool Pokemon. I love Azumarill. I love using Azumarill, actually. The problem about using Azumarill and Crystal is, it doesn't have its ability. It's really weak. Well, what kind of story would you like to hear? I have plenty of stories, but... I am not using an emulator. I have a 2DS with a capture card installed. Hey, get out of my chat, Rags Wolf. Stop watching me. Creeping on me. Stalking my Twitter. Do you want to come on the stream? I could pop in Discord and everyone could hear you. I have no problem. Ragswolf is my friend. He plays Dungeons and Dragons with me. He was a former DM of mine. And now... what am I talking about? Now he's a player with us. What am I doing? Did I select this frame? Uh, 2906. Is he up for a while? I didn't mention it to him. We're not doing. We haven't done D&D in 2 weeks. I think. Alright. Where did this go? Ah, there we go. Boop, 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 boop. Up? What? Oh, you're down for Discord? Okay, I'll join in a second after this attempt. Or the one shot. Yeah, I was talking to, there we go. Yeah, I'll get in Discord. Hold on a second. This is gonna be shiny. Please be shiny. Oh, hell yeah, dude! Second attempt shiny. Get fucked. Oh, man, dude. I'm sick. I'm the best RNGer to ever live. Alright. Let me turn on my desktop audio. And go into the, okay, I'm in the Discord. Alright, where is it? Where is it? Master Ball. Hey. Yo, what's up?
What's up, dude?
Just got my shiny Giratina.
You on your second try?
Yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best ever. This is my favorite part. I let the chat nickname everything. And then they always... Oh, yeah. I was talking to a few of my viewers last night, and they were like, oh, you play D&D, is it fun? I was like, yes. And they were like, oh, I want to play. And I was like, I would run a one-shot for you if you guys really wanted. So,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool, too. I was going to run it with Preston and Damo. Chris needs to be louder. Hold on. My computer volume is really low, that's why, because of the music I usually play. Where's the Discord? I can also raise him in Discord.
My volume should be decent.
Yeah. No, it was me. Is because I sometimes play music, so my desktop volume default is really low.
Oh, that's cool, Damo. We might be able to do that.
Okay. Alright, everyone, give me Giratina nicknames, please. I go with whoever types the first thing out. It's Tina. There you go. I got Tina. Sometimes it ends well. Other times, like, I have like in I think Sapphire version, I have like 4 Pokemon just named like Thick and like Big Butt. So
Nice. Gotta love the viewer nicknames.
dude, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Wait, what was that message? I didn't see. It said something about exhausted. I didn't read it. I never read anything. Does that mean I caught all the legendaries in this game? That'd be disappointing. You got a shiny Hoopa? I think that's not possible. I believe Hoopa is shiny locked. Now I can actually put more real guys in my party instead of all these idiots I needed to get Right, you don't need a flyer in this game.
It said something about presence is overwhelming or something. I went back to your stream.
Huh, weird. Well, you know what? I could watch that. YouTube has
Yeah, you can reverse it.
That's why I like YouTube streaming. Plus all my subscribers see it.
It takes a while to get the VOD on Twitch. Unless someone clips it right away.
Alright, let's see. The presence that exuded its overwhelming power disappeared. Oh, it just said... Oh, okay, it just meant that... Because when you enter the thing, it says there's an overwhelming presence here when there's a legendary. I don't even know who the fuck I'm missing. I have to go on to Cerebi and whatever. Cerebi. How do they get hex shinies? You got a you can get shiny Genesect is legitimate. It's from it has to be Japanese though. It's a Japanese event. It's like one of the and it also comes with a special move as well. It comes with like shift gear or something so Genesect could boost. Because if he's not a good enough Pokemon. Okay, let's see what Pokemon I'm even missing. I was telling them about my D&D session, or like our characters and stuff yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, because I had messaged Connor like a little backstory so he could include it in the game about my idiot guy. Because he was like give ideas for so he can incorporate stuff into the world better.
That sounds cool. I've definitely done that before with James, where we like go back and forth and like, hey, this will be cool to add and whatnot.
Yeah, so like I just wrote down like a little minor thing. I did the okay, I have all of these Pokemon here. I did like because my mole guy's motivation is like he's like looking for whoever's accordion this is. Like it's a really expensive accordion, and so
Does it have an? Oh, that sounds like that has like the premise for a really good story.
It has a name engraved on it, and he doesn't even know like is this the guy's name? Is this a manufacturer? So like I'm gonna start like I just told Connor the name Celio S. I was like you can even make up the last name like I don't care. So I'm like I'm gonna start asking NPCs like because the idea is my character's dad was a thief and he wants to return the stolen property.
Mm-hmm. If you ask Professor Bregor, which is for the people who don't know, that's my character's name, is Professor Bregor Senior.
A long end of an in-joke from an old campaign. In fact, my character is also the result of an in-joke about how I wanted to speak to mole people.
Yes. Basically, like, we've played D&D for so long, we're like doing meta in-jokes of our in-jokes.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do I need to get shiny?
But if you were to take your character and ask my character, I have the researcher feat background that basically lets me, even if I don't know something, I can go to where I can know about that thing.
Oh, that's fucking cool. Maybe I'll do that. Hey man, long time. What am I hunting today? Well, I just caught Regice and Giratina, and now I'm figuring out who else I can get. Can I get? Is this from this game? Yeah, I'm trying to find who I don't have shiny out of the legendaries here. I have a shiny Yuxi, I think. Where are all my guys? I don't even know what I did with them. Maybe I don't have a shiny. Oh no, I think I just got a regular Yuxi for the stats. Because I needed him for a fucking team. I have Suicune. Do I have everyone? Oh, have I exhausted all my options? Thunderous. Did I do Landorus? I think I did Landorus. You had a tiefling who was religious and hated himself because he is a demon and was sworn to extinct anything from the underworld or is... What? I get the concept, but then it's not written very...
Anything from the underworld that's non-human or elf.
Oh, I see.
Wow, you hated the elves too? That's funny.
Dude, I hate elves. I insulted an elf at the Ren Fair once. He was like trying to sell me something, and I was like, fuck you, you're an elf. I will not buy anything from an elf.
Everyone hates elves.
I think you should. Elves are too, like, preppy. They like that. They like each other way too much.
I like the wood elves though. They're nice.
Wood elves are way better. High elves are the issue. That is true. I can absolutely get behind that. You know what? I think I don't have some of the guys in the green wormhole. The Terrakion and Cobalion, maybe? No.
Do you want to know about Dr. Ouija?
No. I know him. I know Chris from real life, basically. Not
Memes?
Dr. Ouija is a guy. It's why my tag is I'm a Blisy. He's like a guy who, like, you see how my YouTube name is typed, like I'm _a Blisy with like the stupid face. Someone was like, what? So he was just like this guy who went to my website I ran in high school, and he would go in the chat all the time, and someone was like, hey, why do you always use Blisy on your team? And he typed that in the chat, and I just it was so funny I died. Like, it was just like the perfect storm of like bad grammar and like dumb. That's
hilarious.
Yeah, and then I forgot about it, and like years later, my friend Blake was like, hey, check out this screenshot I found on my old Photo Bucket account, and it was even funnier. And so, like 5 years ago or something, and it's just been my tag ever since.
It's like one of those memes that have absolutely terrible grammar and then just is funny because of how absurd it is.
So it's so funny. Like first of all, someone asks him, why do you use Blisy? Like, he tells people the reason he uses Blisy is because he is one. Like, what the fuck? Like, why is Blisy using itself? The only downside is people assume I actually like Blisy, which I do not.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't hate it or whatever, but it's just like a thing. It's like, the joke is funnier than the Pokemon.
That's the real lore right there.
That's the true lore. If anyone I ever knew got famous, I could tell them some deep... Pete was in he was in top 8 of a Project M, like the biggest Project M tourney of all time, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and people were like talking about Envy in the chat, and I was like, dude, I know all the Pete lore. You ask me anything about this dude, I know all his Smash history. I could tell you his Brawl Plus main. People are like, what's Brawl? People are like, what's Brawl Plus? I'm like, exactly. I got the deep Pete lore.
You're like the insider.
Yeah, exactly. No, I have one Green Darkness. I have one friend who I would love to have on the stream sometime. If my friend Blake, who does know about the guy, he's probably the only person I still talk to regularly from back then. I talk to a few people every now and then, but I've talked to Blake like every day because he's a fucking nutcase. He's involved in my favorite story of all time. Actually, someone asked me to tell a story. This is one of my favorite interactions with any human I've ever had, ever. So Blake, since he was born, has had like a kidney failure, and it was never supposed to be like really bad. I promise this gets funny. And it was never supposed to be really bad, and so eventually it got bad enough, and he had to get his kidneys replaced, right? And so he's in surgery getting a kidney from his mom. He comes out and he's fine, and it's like 5 or 6 days later, maybe not that late, but he's fine, and he's like able to text people and stuff. But he's on like a lot of he has a button he can push to give himself morphine.
Oh, wow.
And so he called it the happy button, and he would just like push it. And so one day it's 11 o'clock at night, and he calls me. He's like, Jake. I'm like, yeah, are you okay, dude? What's up? It's like 11:30. I have work at 4 in the morning when I was at the bakery. And he goes, dude, I'm playing Pokemon X. I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, I saw Pikachu, and I'm like, yeah, go on. He's like, I killed it. And I'm like, no, you... I'm like, no, you can't kill Pokemon. And he's like, no, this one I did. I'm just like,
he's morphined out of his mind.
I'm trying really hard not to laugh, but it was so funny. And then he's like, I killed it, dude. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Jordan. I appreciate it. And he goes, but I killed it. And then he starts crying, and I like, you know, I know he's high, and I know he's like out of a surgery, and I'm just like sitting on the phone, like it's like, how do you comfort something about this? Like you, and then he just falls asleep on the phone, and I hang up, and I was just dying. It's one of my favorite stories ever. It's too perfect. Calls me, this one I did. I killed this one. It's too beautiful.
Oh man, I've never had a story like that involving someone who's like delirious because of like morphine or like hydrocodone type drugs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's really funny.
Connor's also got one of my favorite drug stories from like probably like the third time he ever smoked weed. He was at our friend Robo's house, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So me and Dakota both did not drink or smoke ever back then, and I still basically don't do any drugs, and so, you know, me and Dakota are the sober ones. Everyone else is like drunk, right? And I'm like, hey, Dakota, Connor went to the bathroom an hour ago, and he's like, oh shit. And so we're like worried. We're like, uh-oh, did he like something happen? So immediately we open the, like, right to the left of the staircase or to the door in the room we're in is a staircase. I look on the staircase, and Connor, his feet are at the top of the staircase, and his head is like in the middle, like he's laying down on the stairs.
He's sleeping on the stairs.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's uncomfortable.
So I just pull him up and flip him over and leave him there. It's really funny. Those are my only two, like, whacked out stories from anyone, because, like, you know, we're all so fucking vanilla. We just sit around playing board games all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Green Darkness is the funniest shit ever, dude. It's too funny. Oh.
I never told you, my gay story, did I?
No. I have a lot of gay stories about Pete, though.
Oh wow!
You go first. You go first if you're comfortable sharing
this
it.
This one's a long one.
Listen. We're in for the ride.
Okay, so this is basically my first sexual encounter ever. This was like 2 years ago. Once upon a time, there was this app called Yik Yak.
Oh, I know about the. I used to use it at RCC all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a popular app back in the day, but it shut down.
Yeah.
Like a few years ago.
It was basically like a localized version of Twitter where you could just talk shit to like everyone exactly. In like your location.
Mm-hmm. They eventually added in a feature that like let you have a handle instead of just everyone being anonymous all the time. This was around that time, post handle when that was made. Basically, our protagonist is on Yik Yak. And, you know, shit posting, having fun, talking to people, all that stuff, when one day I get a PM from a person. Turned out to be a genuine girl instead of some kind of spam bot and whatnot. Okay. And, you know, the texting gets a little, you know, it gets out there pretty fast. Okay. And we exchange the mutuals, the goods. Yeah. And eventually this extends over to, hey, you want to like come over to my dorm and whatnot, and I make two mistakes here. Okay. One, she asks if I'm interested in a threesome, but she like insinuates a lot about like the male on male part of the threesome, which was like the first giveaway that she's like really into yaoi guy on guy stuff. Yaoi guy.
Yeah. And, Yahweh, I believe, is the Jewish god.
Yeah, yaoi isn't the Japanese thing. But the second mistake was accepting. Because, you know, I hear threesome and my mind blanks and I'm like, you know, going duh, drilling in my mouse and whatnot. And the next night, you know, I'm like, she gives me terrible directions to her dorm in her college. And I end up driving past the Tappan Zee and whatnot over to Westchester. And I end up on like the opposite side of the college where like her dorm actually is, so I have to walk like another like 20 minutes, half an hour. This is a big college, and I end up at her, you know, where the domiciles are generally. I text her again, and she gives me the number of this dude, who is like apparently she's at like a dance recital or whatever, and she'll be back later. So it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll just like chill with this dude, and. I text this guy, he gives me like the number to whatever the dorm room is and stuff, and I walk over to the dorm, knock on the door, and as the door opens, I hear the most stereotypically gay black voice imaginable. The most stereotypically gay black voice imaginable. Like, straight up film TV. And I'm like, I'm unfazed by this. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's, I wasn't expecting that, but I walk in, and I head to this guy's room, and I see, he's got, like, MTV playing on the television, which is, like, not a good sign, because it was, like, pretty shit TV, like, pretty generic, not interesting intellectually, whatever. And he's got a bong on the table, and he comes into the room after I, like, put some stuff on the table or whatever, you know, like keys and, you know, condoms and self-warming lube or whatever. And he sits down. We have some small talk, and one of the first things he asks me is, "Hey, you wanna hit him by want some weed on this bong and whatever?" And it's like, I'm not gonna have, you know, a stranger's drugs, you know.
No, it's stupid.
Yeah, so I decline, and he immediately like complains. Like, oh, you know, you're so young, you're in college, you know, you should, experiment, you know, you're so young, and more platitudes like that, where it's just like, no. And that's like, I feel like this guy, I already had the impression that he's a little shallow, but that, like, triggers my shallowness alarm a little more.
Yeah.
And I try to, like, make the topic a little more interesting besides, like, just smoking weed or whatever. And I ask him, hey, you know, what do you do for your major or whatever? You know, what do you do for fun and whatnot? And here's like, here's like alarm number 2 for how like vapid and boring this guy is. His degree is in communications.
That is
world's most generic degree.
You could try. Everyone in communications tries to get a job in doing anything.
Yeah, basically, my mind. As soon as I hear his degrees in communications, my mind blanks, and I picture this guy, you know, selling me steak knives over the phone.
Wait. Side story is Pete actually literally had a job doing that. It was one of those like pyramid scheme jobs. And
yeah.
And everyone was like, Pete, don't do this. It's a pyramid scheme. He's like, no, it's real. And then it's like 2 weeks later, he's like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. At least he got out.
It's too funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
Anyway, my mind blanks. You know, steak knife salesman guy. It's like, okay, this guy is getting more and more vapid by the second, and I try to keep asking him like interesting questions about himself, like what he does and whatnot. But what he lacked in intellectual curiosity, he more than made up for in sexual debauchery. Because he describes, because him and the girl were like, not really a couple, but they did a bunch of sexual stuff together all the time. And he just describes like orgies and threesomes and blow bangs and like drug-induced hazes and fucking shit like that. And I'm like, okay, so you two are pretty exciting in the bed department. You know, that's interesting and whatnot. And this apparently like gets him in the mood. Talking about himself, having like you know, sucking one dude off and then, you know, getting ass fucked in the other while banging another dude and
Oh
whatnot.
my god, intense shit.
Yeah, all the holes at once. And this guy, he gets like into it after he like describes that, and he immediately asks to like blow me, and I'm like a little taken aback by this, even though it's like I should have seen that coming because he just described like a bunch of stuff. But like at this point in my life, I'm still a virgin, and like I'm still like debating in my mind whether I'm like bisexual or gay or whatever. But like I'm like genuinely trying to like see if I feel something, because I'm not 100% sure if I'm potentially in that region or whatever. So like, but you know, my heart is cold, my dick is flaccid, so
no.
I decline.
Exactly, yeah.
So I decline, and he's like turned off. He's like, he gets moody and pouty again when I decline him. He's like, "Oh, you're so young, blah blah blah. You know, you should be experimenting." Like that becomes like the
default.
Of the night. That becomes the theme of the night, where he's just like reiterating, "Oh, you're so young. You're in college. You should be experimenting." He repeats that ad nauseum, and I have to decline him like giving me a blowy like several times in like the span of a few minutes, right here, and. Eventually, I do show him my dick, just like, here, it's harmless, so whatever. And he's like, that might have been a mistake on my part, because he's like...
He takes that as like an invite.
No, not really. He doesn't stand up or like attempt to do anything at that point.
That's surprising. I thought that's where that was gonna go.
No, I'm firmly in control, and I can feel that I'm like in control of the situation. So... he like compliments my dick and whatever, so I'm like, yeah, I take the compliment. I'm like, oh, okay, I have a nice dick. And he tries to continue to like, are you sure? Can I lick it or like stuff like that? Can I touch it? It's like, nope. And I keep having to decline this guy, but eventually I do like secede, because I'm genuinely curious if I'm going to feel any. This guy's like on the creep radar right now.
Yeah. And
I'm not feeling anything. My heart is cold. My dick is flaccid. But I'm trying genuinely to feel something. So I sit down next to him on the bed, and I establish the ground rules. I say, do not touch me unless I explicitly tell you you can. And we're going to be watching pornography on my phone or whatnot. I have like gigabytes of like pictures and whatnot. And I pull up my phone, and I say, yeah, you can masturbate if you want, whatever, I don't care. And I'm like rubbing myself through my jeans as I'm like scrolling through gigabytes worth of pornographic pictures and whatnot. And we're both doing this. He's like getting into it. He's like moaning. I'm pretty sure I hear "daddy" whispered under his breath a few times. That was creepy.
Daddy is my fucking trigger word. Chat knows it too. Chat.
Yeah. And I'm like rubbing myself through my jeans. He's got his hands like through his pants, like they obviously like just stuffed in there like fisting a turkey or whatever. And
fisting a turkey.
Eventually he's like getting breezy and moany or whatever, and eventually I get sick of it. I stand up and I try to leave. I like pick up my stuff off the table, and as soon as I like try and get up to leave, I face him and I tell him I'm gonna leave. He stands up off the bed, his pants drop to his ankles, and he waddles over to me like a penguin and touches my nipples through my shirt with the back of his hand.
What the fuck?
And I give him an immediate look of disgust, and I'm like, no, you broke the #1 rule I said. You broke rule #1. I scold him. He gets upset. He gets like, oh, I thought you didn't mean, you know, touching you like in a sexual way. And I'm like, I like give him a look that just says no.
Nipple touching is like 90. It's either a sexual touch or a nurple. Like there's no casual nipple touch. You know what I mean? It's never.
He's so awkward, especially after his pants fall to his ankles and he does the penguin walk.
5, 6,
and
oopsie.
I'm like immediately disgusted. I'm like, this guy has hit the 10 out of 10 creep factor after the penguin waddle, pants dropping to his ankles, dick in hand. And I'm like, I walk away. He slams the door behind me as I leave, and I text the girl going, "What the fuck? What's taking you so fucking long? I'm out of here. Fuck this. Your fucking friend's creepy as shit. I'm out." And she's like 50% begging me to stay, 50% what the fucking text, what the fuck, what the fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I leave immediately. I go back home, and that's the story.
This is awful. This is a bad time.
It was funny.
I mean, it's that guy sounds interesting.
That guy was creepy.
Although, from what I've heard from my gay friends, not out of the norm for gay guys. For that kind of thing happening.
Yeah, but now I know I'm not gay, so that was like a worthwhile adventure.
There you go. Hey, Gink. Oh my god, I can't even. Gink Higami, how are you doing? Thank you for stopping by. My stories are much less sexual, but also super funny. Okay, so Pete, you have to understand, his World of Warcraft and his League of Legends name was Netherblaze, okay? It's right immediately the funniest thing you've ever, like the literal 12-year-old, that would have been like
the triple X Sasuke XXX.
Exactly, dude, that's a 13-year-old's RuneScape name. That's what that name is, Netherblaze. Yeah. And so, oh, hold on, my timer's counting down. I'm super bad at focusing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so our friends Dom and Wyatt call him, I think justifiably as a joke, they call him Nether Dick as the joke. So, like that's the joke name, just because we're just making fun of it. We're just poking fun at his name, his WoW and League name. So he goes into my phone as Nether Dick, right? Now. Alright, so you have to understand, when I was working at the cat care clinic in Nanuet and Nyack, I was the only guy who worked there. It was all women who worked there, besides me. And the doctor I had known for a really long time. She had taken care of all my cats, and so I called her. So she knew me forever, and I was single then, and so she asked one of the girls who worked there. She was like, "Is Jake gay?" He's like, "He's not. He doesn't seem interested in any of you," because they're all attractive. And I was like, "No, I'm just not interested in dating right now. Like that, I just wasn't." And so, Pete, Chris knows Pete. You guys don't know him. Let's just say he's a little bit eccentric, and so he texts me. And this is when we were both like, this is like 2014. We're both like mega into Melee. Like we both just started going to tournaments, and we're like really, really into it. And so he texts me, "Yo, Jake, you want to fuck?" That's his way of asking, "Yo, do you want to play Smash Bros?" That's his way of asking that. But you have to at the cat care clinic, you have to leave your phones in the break room. You're not allowed to have them. And so I walk out of a room with a client, and someone's like, "Hey, your friend Netherdick asked you if you want to fuck on your phone." It popped up on my phone screen. And I'm like, "Oh, no, he wants to play Smash Bros." And they're like, Netherdick wants to play, And I'm like, "No, wait a minute, no, it's just Smash Bros. It's just Netherdick." It was all of the wrong words and nicknames combined at the same time.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Netherdick wants to fucking, yeah, Smash Bros, right, one point.
The perfect storm of wrong nicknames and wording. The perfect storm. And then another.
Yeah, that his name would have to be Grandma to fix that.
I think maybe worse. Maybe Grandma makes it worse. It's like, what are you into? So another funny story is, all right. So me and Pete go to Subway. There's a Subway right next to our like most common local tournament venue, and we just go into Subway, and we would go there like literally every Wednesday, because that's when the PM tournament was. So we go there every Wednesday, and it's just like, hey, we get our sandwiches. And so every time a different person was the one at Subway, they'd be like, "Hey, are you guys paying together?" And we're like, "No, why would we be paying together? Why? Like every time they'd ask us, like, "Hey, are you guys paying together? Like, same check?" Like, no, it's like an individual. Or like, I've never gone into a fucking McDonald's with oh, fuck, I missed my thing. I never gone into McDonald's with anyone, you know, and they're like, oh, same order. Like, we have to tell them, oh, same order. Because, you know, it's like you walk up, you tell them what you want to put on your sandwich, and then you go up and you pay by yourself. Like, I always have to specify, even with my fucking girlfriend, even with Amanda, they're like, I'm like, no, I'm paying for both of us. Like, I have to specify. But with Pete, every single time they'd be like, yo, so same check, right? And we're like, no, what the fuck is this about? Like, so then we just assumed it was that Subway, right? We just assumed it was like the guy there or whatever. Like, he just must have been assuming something about us because like we were very, you know, we're very jokey, like we push each other or whatever. Like, it just must have been something about the way we acted that he just assumed we were a couple. And so we just assumed it was that Subway. All right, cut to a month later, maybe 2 months later. I go to the only out-of-state tournament I've ever been to in Pennsylvania. No, actually, this is not true. The first out-of-state tournament, because Jersey I don't really count as out-of-state because I live pretty close to the Jersey border, so it's not really out-of-state. So we go to a Jersey tournament, a fairly big regional tournament in New Jersey. We go to a Subway together, right? We completely different Subway neither of us have ever been to. Go up. I put all the stuff on my bread. He's putting the stuff on his sandwich, like, 2 different people. They're like, you're paying together? I'm like, what is... what's this about? And then the final nail in the coffin was that it had something to do with Subway. We're in Pennsylvania. Somewhere in the middle of fucking Easton, Pennsylvania. Some, like, I've never been there in my life. This is the only really far out-of-state tournament I've ever been to before, right? We go to a goddamn Subway there, and they're like, so you're paying together, right? And I'm like, what the So the joke is that just me and Pete are gay, but only when we're in Subway together. This, like, just the same wallet, you guys use the same wallet, have a bank account together, so that's my gay story with Pete. Well, because being gay isn't being gay is like, I'm just surprised. It is more like it's confusing as to why they assume that me and Pete are a couple, but I don't have this situation happen to me with literally any other person or anywhere else.
You just got that chemistry. You know?
I think we do. It's it's really funny. So I don't know really why. Yeah, like even Amanda knows there's like a small problem.
Maybe it's not a couple thing, but they just like see you and assume you're both together.
Yeah. Cause
not like maybe maybe not necessarily in a sexual way, but like like
something.
They obviously walk in together at the same time.
Yeah. Because like even I don't even remember what I had people over my house last weekend. Chris was there, and like something. I don't know, something happened, and me and Pete both said the same exact thing at the same pitch during Secret Hitler. We were just like, and Amanda just like looks at me and it's like, hey, it's not Subway. We're not gay right now. It only happens in Subway. Yeah, that's my Subway, my Pete gay story.
That's funny.
Yeah, really fucking funny. Just ridiculous. Yeah, everything with him is ridiculous, though. He's a ridiculous person. The only other stories I have about, more stories about my friend Blake is, so we played League of Legends together a lot. Like when I played that game, me and Blake played all the time together. And I've known Blake since 2006. I've known him. But online, I've never met him in person. And, like, I've known him I think I've known him before Connor. And for you guys to put that into perspective, I was best man at Connor's wedding. So I've known Blake longer than Connor. And, like, we talk on a regular basis. Like, we talk every day, basically. And so we play League together a lot. And so we meet this, like, random dude in League. His tag was, like, Dop or something. And he was really good. And he liked Blake. He thought it was funny. And he was some dude from like the Midwest. He's really nice guy, and he every time he would introduce us, he'd be like, yo, play. I got 2 friends to play with. You guys should join us. He'd be like, yo, this is Jake and Blake. Their names rhyme. It's hella cute. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck, Dop? What's this about? It just I don't know why. It was just really funny. He always just liked to make jokes about that. Those are my only gay stories I have, though, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, they're very ridiculous. Everything's just very ridiculous. Holy shit. This actually completely unrelated. 3 or 4 months, there was this bread baker there. I'm not going to say his name, just in case. Because actually, I don't even know his last name, honestly. But he was a bread baker, and he was the main bread baker. And he really thought he was, like, a good bread baker. Like, one of his favorite things to do was, like, shit-talk Panera Bread. Like...
Wait, is this in Pennsylvania or New York?
No, this is a bakery in New York I used to work at.
Okay, because James used to be a bread baker.
Oh no, it's not James. It's not James. It's not James. And no, I worked in New York, and it's not James. Is this guy? Okay, so he was like very particular about how he wanted things done, which is normally fine, but he would also not. Okay, so like there are 4 different bins of flour for baking. So there is all-purpose flour, which is like you basically use it in everything. There was bread flour, which he obviously mostly used for the bread. There was cake flour, which is like it's hard to explain, but it's lighter. It's better for fluffier stuff, not tough stuff. And then there was like whole wheat flour for he made one kind of whole wheat bread, and so he never used the AP flour. But the AP flour was like where he would stand most of the time, and I'd always be like, hey, I need to get to the AP flour bin. And he would get so angry if you needed AP flour. Like, his face would turn red, and he'd be like, just hurry up and get the flour. But, like, I'd have to scoop, like, 6 cups. So I'd pull it's a huge bin. It's like a 3-foot tall bin, like, you know, 2 or 3 50-pound bags of flour you have to dump into it. It's giant. So I'd cart it away. It's on wheels. I'd cart it away from him, and then I'd take my like 2 or 3 minutes to fill it all the way up. 3, 2, 1, 2.
That reminds me of this time I had to do like some hydroponic stuff for this like science experiment. But you can continue.
Oh yeah. So he Meryl and Scyther. Name Scyther like what? Ketchup after that anime episode. Meryl, I got nothing. So I pull the Peekaboo is too basic. So I pull the bin away, and like I'd have to scoop it out, but then like I'd be done in like a minute, and so then I have to push it back, and he would get mad when I had to push it back in front of him, and he gets so goddamn angry. And the peak of this guy's anger was one time I walk into the walk-in fridge, and he's pushing his bread. You have to basically chill it overnight before you bake it off in the morning. 1, 2, 6. Okay, so you have to chill it overnight before baking it off in the morning, and I do this. Or he's doing this. He's pushing it into the fridge to chill, and I walk in, and as he's putting his bread on the rack, one baguette, just a single baguette, slides off and hits the floor. And I had just opened the door and seen it, and he screams at the top of his lungs and just throws the whole board of like 5 baguettes just like all over the place. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And then he leaves it there and he walks out.
That's pretty bad.
And I'm like, and so I turn around and I just say nothing because I'm not interested. I say nothing to anybody. And so then like 15 minutes later, someone comes out of the walk, and I'm like, hey, why is there like 10 baguettes on the floor? It's like Russell's. I let his name slip, but he's like, I just dropped him. That's all. It's like, why didn't you clean him up? I don't have time to clean him up. And he's just like, screaming about how it's like, holy shit, he was insane. He was an insane person. It was the craziest shit to deal with. I've never dealt with anyone like him in my life. He was that nuts. He was so like, oh man, it was even worse than like, it's not like just like everything has to be his way. Like, he wasn't even the head baker. He was just the bread baker. But like like the head baker was the owner. Like but he would like try and like bully us and like boss us around. It was just like, oh man, I just dropped it. It's like, but like, and then like So sometime for the so like you guys know baguettes are like the long breads or whatever, but there's some like circular breads, and for what we did for those breads, the bowl types basically, we put them in these baskets lined with like basically like a cotton cloth, and you'd have to flour the cotton cloth, and so the bread doesn't like stick to it or whatever. And he okay, so it's not a pita bread, but it's just like there's like man, I don't want to get too into this, but basically there's just like a few default shapes for breads, and one of them is just called rounds. So it's a rounds. So the types we would do is like a sourdough and also a like just some whole wheat bread we would do that way. And so to flour them, he would always just take the basket away from the table, and by flouring them I just mean you have to sprinkle flour in it so the bread doesn't stick to it. And so he would take the basket off of his huge bread baking table, and he would take a handful of flour, and he's over the floor, and he would just chuck it at the thing, and flour would just go all over the floor, just everywhere. And I'm like, yes, I did spell Blissy wrong on purpose. Happy Steve. But I've already told that story 3 times tonight, and I do like telling it, but I'm going to refrain from speaking it again. But it is on purpose. So I'm like, hey, are you going to sweep the floor, man? And he's like, you know, it sucks because there's just no better way to do this. And like, I'm new. This is like my 3rd week there. And I'm like, I'm taking his advice as genuine, right? And I'm like, oh, there must be a reason why he's just covering the floor in flour, right? I'm like, there has to be a reason why he thinks...
This is some secret Himalayan mountain technique.
Yeah, there's got to be some reason he thinks he needs to take it over the floor and just throw flour everywhere. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, so you're going to clean it up? He's like, you know, I don't have time, and it's just not my job to sweep the floor anyway. They have people to do that.
Wow.
And so he's like,
that's really douchey.
But so he says that, and I'm like, they have people to sweep the floor? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, but wait, there's no janitors. Like, who do they have to sweep the floor? Who are you talking about? And he's just like, the dish boy. And I'm like, you're gonna want the dishwasher, who does the most back-breaking work on the planet, to do? So I was like, okay, whatever. I would try and sweep up after him if I could, but he always left after me anyway, and he would get angry if I started sweeping when he was there. And so then Amanda was doing breads one day, and we were not dating yet. So she's just like, and I'm like, hey, can you give me some advice on this bread stuff? And she's like, yeah, this is how I dust the things. And she does it very delicately over the table without getting any flour anywhere over the table. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Mind blown.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, is this fine to do? Because Russell does it like all over the floor. And she's like, what? What do you mean? And I'm just dying because like oh, it was just so goddamn funny. Like, holy moly, it's just the funniest shit I ever seen. Yeah.
Wow.
He was quite the character. I think I've blocked out a lot of his stories just due to traumatic events. For literally, not a joke, for like several months, because he got fired. So several months after he got fired, even though Amanda, who at that point I was dating, I would get like too nervous to go up and be like, can I get the AP flour from here? Because just like in my mind, the AP flour bid was like associated with getting yelled at by the baker. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, I got Pavlovian response. Because the thing is, I'm really susceptible to yelling. Like that's like my main trigger for anxiety is getting yelled at. So like anytime I get yelled at, it just like sticks in my fucking brain. It's like, nope, can't do this. I'll get yelled at. I will get yelled at. Oh my god, it's just so ridiculous. Just a lot of interesting stories happen. We never had enough ovens, and he would get so he'd be like, hey, I'm like, hey Russell, you're not using your ovens right now. Can I just use your bottom oven? The top ovens were always for him, and the bottom oven was always for us. And I was like, you're not using your ovens right now? Can I please use them? Like, we have no cookies. I need to bake off 60 trillion cookies. And he's like, no, I need them. I'm going to put something in the oven soon. Well, how long do you need it for? And I'm like, 12 minutes. And he's like, well, I don't need it for 40 minutes, so you can't use it though. And I'm like, but
Wow.
I'm like, wait. And he's like, I need it prepped. And I'm like, it takes 40 minutes for your oven to heat? Like, I don't help. And then one time, oh man, I don't think I'll ever forget this. One time, I had something in the oven that had to bake for, it was a tea bread, which is like, she always called it, my boss always called it tea bread, but it's basically just pound cake. Yeah, it's basically just pound cake. It does not take 40 minutes for that oven to preheat. It was an industrial convection oven. It preheated like lightning.
In 2 seconds.
Yeah. So I had something that had to bake for an hour. And so I put it in, and I go on my lunch break, which, if you ever worked in the service industry, is they tell you like 30 minutes or something for your lunch break. You get like 3. You basically just have to eat and come back. I would fudge it for as long as I could, but they did not like if I took like a full break. So I come back from my break, come back, and the pound cakes are half baked out of the oven. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I decided I needed your oven, so you can't use it. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm
Wow.
like, you just
The
ruined
hypocrisy.
he just ruined 2 pound cakes. He just ruined product. Like, completely ruined the product.
That's terrible.
Oh yeah, he was a douche canoe. Really, the stories now though are so funny, but like,
Damn.
yeah, it was just ridiculous. What a ridiculous time.
What a hypocrite.
Oh yeah, he basically just would say what and do whatever he needed for his benefit and nothing else. That's it. Yeah, probably am not gonna go back to the service industry anytime soon. That shit sucks. That is why I am working on just learning literally any other skill. Because I do like baking a lot, and I think maybe if I could ever own my own bakery, I would actually enjoy doing it. But, like, working for someone else for, like, they basically just, like, don't pay you enough. Like, the cook there, he would work, like, 60 hours, the head cook, right, would work 60 hours a week, but he was on salary that was basically equivalent to 30 hours a week. So they just criminally underpay people constantly.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's how it is, like, basically everywhere, unless you get, like, an actual good owner, which, you know, does not happen often, I don't think, for bakers and cooks anyway. Because they're, like, you know, unless you're, like, a really high-end, like, a line chef and a line head cook can really be replaced by anyone that's got a decent work ethic and, like, has a brain and can learn. Baking a little less so, but like the simple stuff like cookies and stuff, like any idiot can make a cookie dough.
Yeah.
Although
I had a few stories about being underpaid. Well, only one, but it's pretty bad.
Was it the Wiz?
No, not Toy Wiz. No, Toy Wiz is actually a good job.
Oh, was it? That's good. Because I like Jeff.
Yeah, Toy Wiz was a good job.
Yeah.
It was the one before that was bad.
Just pay people, man. Like just give them money to live.
Like, I don't think I told you this story.
No.
So I used to work at this place in New Jersey. It's like on Saddle River Road.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like an air conditioning and HVAC selling company. They sold like air conditioners and whatnot.
Okay.
Dehumidifiers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was their in-house programmer. But generally, I would just be like doing SEO stuff, fixing broken links, and doing like a lot of internal stuff on the side.
Okay, yeah.
And so before I came along, there was this other company. There was this other SEO company that was trying to help my company.
Uh huh.
And they gave an estimate for fixing this problem. Their estimate was like, this problem will take like 4 to 6 months to solve. And I fixed that problem in like 2 weeks.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That was a whole like company thing going like, oh yeah, we can't do this, blah 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 blah, and like it'll take a long time. Like
it's just
I
like
come in, you know, fresh asshole from college and whatnot, and my boss is like really mad at them because of how well I did. And I was one person, that was the whole company.
Well, because you know the thing is, they were probably like, you're smart enough to know this, but I'm sure they were probably like.
They were probably fleecing us.
Yeah. They were just lying to get extra pay.
That was my hypothesis too. And my boss gets super mad at them, and he like calls them, threatens to like end their business relationship and whatnot, and like sue them. And
Holy shit.
He pressured the other company to like work for us for free. And when that happened, I got laid off.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
After doing a good job.
I did my job too well.
You did your job so well that he got free labor and then fired. What the fuck? Yeah. That is some... Jesus, that might be like the scummiest story I've ever heard.
I was also being paid like really...
Poorly?
Not too well, yeah. I couldn't even afford like the taxi cab over. It was like eating into that so much.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that is like a mind-blowing story. Holy fuck. Oh my god. Okay, so for the people in the chat who don't know, I used to host tournaments at ToyWiz for Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube. And I like saying the full name because it's fun. And so here's how it works. If you've never been to a Melee tournament before, you give $5 to the venue to cover basically like electricity and like all that kind of costs. Like it's just like to pay the venue to use their space. So you pay $5 for the venue to be there. Then you pay $5, and the second $5 goes into the prize pool for the top 3 winning players, right? I would get 40% of the venue fee, and ToyWiz would get 60. So if it's $5, they get $3, I get $2. Okay, pretty good. Pretty like a nice deal for just doing something that like I like doing. Like it's just fun. It's like a fun thing to do. And so one of the guys who worked at ToyWiz fucking hated it there. He hated it so much. Like he was just an angry man the whole time I was there. There's actually a Giphy cat somewhere on the internet of him bumping into a chair once, and like he was just in such a bad mood that he bumps into the chair. It's like a folding chair. He just lifts it up and throws it somewhere. I'll have to see if I can find it, but I would go up to him and be like, "Hey, I have your money," and I would always, as like a formality, I would pre-count it in my head, right? Like, and like I would pre-divide the money, like sort of like I would keep it in one stack, but like I would have it split basically, and I would hand it to him whole and be like, "It's, you know, this much money. This is how much you should get. This is how much I get. You should count it now." Like to let him count it, right? So like you know, that's something that just makes sense. You want, you know, there's no reason for, you know, especially in the first few weeks of us doing it, like there's no reason for him to implicitly trust we're not just ripping him off, you know.
The best kind of system is trustless.
Yeah, like I say I counted the money. This is what I counted. Here you go. You count it too. Like,
yeah, it's like splitting a deck of cards.
Yeah, it's so we both know everything is counted correctly and fair. And he would get super mad at me. He's like, "What do you want me to do? Count this?" And I'm like, "It's 11 o'clock. No one is in your goddamn store. Like, yes, please count the money." And it got to the point where me and Pete would like play rock paper scissors to see who had to get up and give this guy money because neither one of us wanted to deal with it. We were paying him money to get yelled at. Like,
so dumb.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think he quit eventually, and he got replaced by a very nice person. But he was just the worst.
He just didn't like to count money. I've never heard of this.
But it's not like a lot of money. I wasn't giving him like the most money we probably ever gave him at once was like $300 and it would have been a large tournament. That would have been like because the biggest tournament we ever had there was like 40 something people, which is like Rockland locals are not big. Like they're like, you know, like not a lot. Like, it's like usually 11 person locals. We happen to get people from like 3 different counties over that one weekend. It's just like so dumb. Yeah, that's the whiz for you, though. They actually all the people who went to the tournaments hated it there so much. The current tournament hoster found a new venue just because they didn't like ToyWiz, even though ToyWiz had a bunch of free CRTs to use. People would rather carry their own TVs to the tournament than have to deal with the Wiz.
What was the reason they didn't like the Wiz?
They felt like it was like well, first, that guy set, even though he eventually was gone, like, he set a very bad example. Like, they basically felt like, there's a few reasons. One, there's no internet, which means you can't stream the tournaments, which sucks a lot. But the new venue doesn't have that either. Plus side, new venue's next to a fucking lake, and so people just, like, go swimming in between matches. It's dope.
That's nice.
Yes. But Toiwa's, the temperature control was just non-existent, so in the winter it would be fucking freezing, and in the summer it would just be, like, way too hot. And then the other thing is they felt like a lot of the employees were apathetic, and I would always get annoyed. I'd be like, why do you care? Like, I'm not apathetic, I'm the TO. But they didn't really like it's like an atmosphere thing. They didn't like, I guess.
I get it, yeah.
Because
it's very, low vibes.
Yeah, it's like a lot of, like, I don't know, drooling Yu-Gi-Oh! Players.
It's mostly a card game place.
Yeah, it's just Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, basically, and it's, like, the same people. It gets very stale, like...
It gets stale. It does get stale.
Yeah, you're around the same exact people who basically, like, you have nothing in common with, and they don't really have a lot of interesting things to say. It's like, alright, well, if I'm only here for the Melee players, let's find a different... Like, because, you know, the Melee players, at the very least, you can talk to them about Melee. the other players, you can't talk to anything about. And there was some, like, there were some assholes there, man. I remember, because I've only ever had to kick one person out of my tournaments because you don't know this guy, but long story short, I went to, literally since elementary school, I went to school from elementary to high school with this kid who had, like, he has, like, pretty severe autism, but, like, he was like a savant in, like if you were like, my birthday, because my birthday's June 23rd, if you went up to him and be like, yo, my birthday's June 23rd, what day would my birthday fall on 300 years from now? And he could just tell you in, like, a millisecond. But
interesting.
But he was
really good at maths.
Yeah. And but he was like he was really bad at reading social situations, and like I mean, you could tell, like, his dad would, like, basically go everywhere with him, and but he was a really nice guy. Like, I like, you know, he was nice. I'd always say hi to him and all that kind of stuff. And he would always love to play in the Melee tournaments, and all he would do is, if any of you have ever played Melee, even a little bit competitively, like, he was the mega noob who would pick Marth. All he would do is walk at you and just forward smash with Marth's big sword.
That's funny. Did he ever win?
I don't. Maybe once. He must have. If he won, it was against, like, it's hard to explain, but when you're first getting good and learning to wave dash and L cancel, he might have beaten a new player who was learning those techniques and overly focused on implementing them, and, like, he just, like, he would hit. It would have had to be like a Fox or a Falco or something who just can die instantly, you know.
I see.
He might have, but I really don't think so. But he would always do it. He calls it the C-Stick Forward Brigade. He said he was a part of it, and he would always, he just liked to go and play people with Marth and hit people with his C-Stick.
That's nice.
And he was fine. And so, like, one kid was like,
Did someone get mad about that?
No, someone was bullying him.
Oh.
And I don't remember what. I'm trying to remember. It was. My memory is not particularly great about this, but I believe he. Oh, they were making him say offensive things. That's what they were doing. Like, they were saying, like, the N-word and like different curses, and he would, like, repeat them because he thought he was being funny. Like, he thought he was getting along with these kids and being funny, like, screaming, like, bad words. And, like, I felt bad because, like, he didn't know any better. Like, he didn't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they're taking advantage of him.
And I'm like, I go up to these kids, I'm like, hey, can you stop? Like, he doesn't know, and you know he doesn't know. And they're just like, we're just having fun. And I'm like, stop. Like, and they like start making fun of me, and they start making fun of him. And I'm like, and I was just like, you get the fuck out of my goddamn tournament right now. Like, they were like, you can't make us leave, and I'm like, I'll go get fucking Jeff and tell him to call the goddamn cops on you kids. Get the hell out of my tournament. And they left. That's the only time I've ever had a bad experience with Melee players, really. Usually they're pretty nice. He's not Aussie. No, he's from New York. Born and raised in New York, baby. Worcester. No, I thought Worcester got banned from GDQ for, like, stealing everyone's key cards or something. That's what I heard.
That sounds like something that would happen in GDQ.
I know Worcester did say the N-word on stream, but it was like it was a GDQ like 2012 or something. It was an early GDQ at 4 in the morning, and he got banned like years after that happened. I'm almost positive an incident at the GDQ, like the year he got banned. I think he did something that actual year to get banned. Pokemon speedrunning is some of the early gens, Gen 1, Gen 2, with its crazy glitch speedruns are some of my favorite speedruns for Pokemon. Also, I got weirdly into X and Y's speedrun, just because I think it's funny that they like switch Pokemon like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, I would never let someone like that exist at any of my events or anything like that. Andy. GDQ is still fun to watch, but they ban people very easily. Like the guy who did that Jak and Daxter run I liked got banned like instantly.
Yeah, that's too bad about that kid.
It's stupid. It's stupid shit. Games done quick.
It's a speed running event.
Yeah, speedrunning charity marathon. I'm sure you know what it is, Green Darkness. You just might not remember the acronym.
There's also Awesome Games Done Quick.
Well, Awesome Games Done Quick and Summer Games Done Quick. You just kind of refer to them as like, I just say GDQ because you could, like, the delineation doesn't matter. It's just an event that happens every 6 months. Like which one it was. Any shinies yet? Yes, I got 2 shinies much earlier in the stream, and this goddamn Articuno. I remember why I have not caught Articuno yet was because I left to RNG and event Pokemon, and now I'm choking on this Articuno execution. But to be fair, I am much worse when I talk a lot, which is fine. The destination is oh shit, guys, I fucked the phrase up. The journey is better than the destination. Unless you're going to Hawaii, in which case Hawaii is definitely better than a plane, right? Probably, anyway. 184. Oh, God. Yes, I got a Gen 2 Scyther and Meryl. You got a Gen 2 Scyther and a Gen 2 Meryl? Shiny eggs? Are you doing, like, the trick where you, like, do the pundit square of Pokemon breeding to get the stats to have, like, a 1 in... What is it, like 1 in 64 odds of shiny you can get in Gen 2 with the egg breeding? Wow, I was 0 frames off. Alright, my calibration is spot on. If I get... Basically, it's down to luck now if I get this Articuno. Oh, I see. So, are you doing that demo? Oh, Chris, when is our next KDM? Were we supposed to do it last week and then we didn't? Oh, he's gone. I don't know if he's gone. Oh, he said BRB. I don't have this. Oh, my Discord's in both silent mode and in streamer mode, so I don't see like any notifications. Oh, damn, Green Darkness, you are too goddamn quick, man. I literally clicked to approve Damo's comment, and it said another moderator already handled this. Yep, you got the lightning reflexes, my man. Oopsie daisy. I'm trying to get... Okay. Alright, 634. Damn it! Ah, he's got the DS sticks. Today was a pretty successful night, I think. I peaked at 20 viewers. Chris came on, we told funny stories. 2 shinies. I feel so lazy that they use...
I'm back.
Oh, welcome back. It feels so lazy that they used old music without remixing it for these battles. Yeah, I was going to ask you, when's our next KDM? Were we supposed to do it last week?
Oh, yeah, we were supposed to do it last week on Friday, but I think Connor was busy.
Oh, okay.
We might be able to do one more before James has to go on his hike.
Are we just gonna have to put a hold on it for 2 months, or are we gonna have to go?
We can do one more on Friday. We're probably the one we do on Friday is probably going to be the last one for that campaign anyway, because we're gonna have to fight.
We're gonna fight a monster that's gonna kick our ass.
Yeah, the butcher is soon. The game we're talking about, guys, is called Kingdom Death Monster. It's my personal favorite tabletop board game. It's basically a mix of Monster Hunter meets Dark Souls meets Berserk, the comic.
Yeah, the world is very grim dark, and the game mechanics are pretty fun in terms of like...
It is a world of total hopelessness and whatnot, but the game mechanics are amazing.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a good... It's just like a good tabletop experience.
You've never played the Dark Souls board game, right?
I've never played any Dark Souls anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like tried Dark Souls for like a little bit, and I was like, this is very grim dark, and like, I don't know, I can't explain it, but the controls felt very clunky to me, so I was like, you know what, this is not for me, probably.
Yeah, it has a very immediate difficulty curve.
I've heard it's like a food you have to get used to, and then you like it.
It's like Dr. Pepper.
You know what, Yahtzee, the fucking, you know, the video game reviewer who like talks fast, he described he described it as walking into a shed that has a bunch of rakes lying on the floor, and then when you step on them, you hit yourself in the face with them. And he later described playing it as smashing your head into a brick wall. Yeah.
Yes, but that was his first review. He did a second review of Dark Souls, I believe, and he ended up liking the game.
No, yeah. He said, yeah, his second review, he was like, people said I should try it again, and he's like, well, I thought maybe if I just, hold on. He said, I thought, well, maybe if I just keep walking into this shed and walking into these rakes, I'll come out of this shed after the weekend enjoying walking into rakes. And he's like, well, by God, if that's not what happened.
It fucking happened.
Well,
he ended up really liking it.
He said it was a game that required a lot of supplementary information. Like, he said he spent a lot of time on, like, wikis and stuff, like...
Yeah, it's a game you have to, like... Yeah. It's like playing Dark Souls and, like, getting into Dark Souls are two different things. If you want to get into Dark Souls, you kind of have to work at it.
Yeah.
If you just want to play it, you can just play it.
You know what game that happened to me with was, I play Majora's Mask. I played that with, like, a walkthrough, the Zelda game, and, like, knowing where all of the side quests stuff was and all the extra masks, like, the game was just, like, 10 times better with, like, a guide. Like, it's so weird, like, when a game just becomes better when you know stuff about the game beforehand.
I'm like that for some RPGs. It's weird. Like, if I were to play Skyrim blind, not knowing anything, I would probably end up enjoying it less because I know I'm missing out on something.
Yeah, I see.
It's that clicking in the back of my mind saying, I'm missing something and this is not.
Yeah.
I'm missing something important, which is like the clicking thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few games.
It's not like that for every game, but it is for some games. It's weird. Like some games, I'll go in 100% blind and I'll enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah. That happened to me with the Metroid games basically. Like I watched one retrospective on Zero Mission, and I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I thought Metroid wasn't for me. Like I don't like collecting things in video games, despite playing Pokemon all the time, but I don't. Like I don't really like searching the world for everything.
Collectathon.
Yeah, basic. Well, my favorite game is Jak and Daxter, which is decidedly a collectathon. But it's so hard to explain. But like if I had,
it's collecting for the sake of collecting.
I do not enjoy. Yes, that is exactly it.
It's not collecting nothing for no reason, right?
Yeah,
It's not like collecting flags or feathers in Assassin's Creed 1 or 2, right?
It's I hate that kind of thing. That is the kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's
I don't,
bad.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
bad because there's no context behind it. If it was like the god feathers of the 50 Inuyasha crystals or whatever, then you would enjoy it more, right? It would actually matter.
For like so having lore helps a lot, and having hold on, I typed all these stats wrong. Okay, and having
But no, it's just, hey, collect these fucking flags because there's a fucking icon on the map and I told you to.
and it's not just that; it's also sort of like
It encourages a weird way to look at the game where you're looking at the minimap and at the map instead of looking at the actual game world.
so.
Right?
For the record, guys,
Fallout 3 has that same problem.
Chris is in.
I'm a game developer.
Yeah, he's in school and just like he's working to be a game developer and like is actively developing stuff.
Yeah, so I'm like really like passionate about that kind of stuff. Like
I also just personally I enjoy like just critically thinking about why I enjoy games and stuff. Like it's just like a hobby thing I like to do.
Yeah.
But like for Metroid, I guess I had this perception that I had to. I went to like when I tried to play Super Metroid in high school, I didn't like it, and it was because I had this mindset like I knew you were supposed to look for things in it, so I would go out of the way to try and look for everything, and that is inherently not fun to me. So I didn't real like I went in basically with a bad mindset where I had to. I didn't realize I could play the game a different way. I thought I was supposed to play it one specific way, and then when I realized, like, you could just run through, collect literally, like, 10% of the items, and just run through like a madman and fight these super hard bosses because you have no goddamn items. Like, that's when Metroid clicked for me. Like, I played through Zero Mission, like, the first time I beat it. I beat the game in literally, like, 2.5 hours, and I had like 20% of the items collected, and I was like, "What? That was so goddamn fun!" Like,
yeah,
what
happened? When you play Metroid, like it's this fucking one-man infiltration mission.
Yeah, it's so.
It's
the sickest shit of all time. Like I
did
couldn't.
Did you play Metroid 1 remake or I forgot what it was called.
Zero Mission.
Yeah.
Okay, I started with, so basically this was after AM2R came out. Before Samus Returns was even announced. So I was like, basically I knew the NES Metroid would not be for me. That's a
little too much.
I would have to play it with, that's another thing. Those games from the 80s, you basically have to play with like a Nintendo Power issue in front of you. Because like those games were literally designed in part to sell the fucking magazines. Like
or calling Nintendo.
Yeah, the 1-900 bullshit. Yeah. So I do think that like the original Zelda as well, like it's not as good without like there's being open world is one thing, but having literally
being obscure with no markers is worse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a great example of a game that does a world with very minimal hinting is Thief. Thief 1 and Thief 2 are like my favorite stealth games of all time.
I've actually heard they're really good.
They're really, really, really good. They are. I subcategorize stealth games into 3 different genres: purist, hybrid, and arcade. Hybrid being a mix of violence and stealth being viable, and purist being only stealth is really viable, and arcade being like stuff like Monaco, where you're like miscellaneous stealth games where it's also the main mechanic.
Yeah.
But Thief 1 and Thief 2, I would say, are the kings of the purist stealth genre, where fighting all the guards is absolutely not something you want to do. Stealth is your shield, and
yeah, exactly.
Games utilize the map in a way that other games don't really do, and there's mechanics in Thief 1 and Thief 2 that other games still don't have. Like the way it handles mantling, the way it handles leaning, and lots of other ways it handles just movement in general are things other games still haven't really picked up on.
That's interesting. What were they for? Like what systems back in the day?
PC, 1999.
They're PC games. See, that's.
What was that?
Oh, I just said they're PC games. I didn't know.
Yeah, they were PC.
I had definitely heard about them, but like I basically missed out on any PC game that came out in the 90s because I didn't have a gaming computer.
The Metal Gear Solid came out earlier, but Thief 1 is considered like the father of the stealth genre.
Oh, interesting.
I personally think Thief 2 is slightly better because it has a better. It had it has Thief 1's world building without like the Indiana Jones stuff.
I see.
Thief 1 is more Indiana Jones. You're in
Yeah.
like more wild locations, while Thief 2 is like, hey, you're actually breaking into places that Thief would break into.
I got you.
And Thief 3 was just Thief 3 is the second worst game, but it wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the new Thief that came out recently is bad.
Bad.
Yeah. I played it. I kind of enjoyed it, but it ruined everything about the world building.
Dude,
it had a terrible hub. It did not need a hub world when it had a hub world.
I understand exactly how you feel. I think everyone's got a gaming franchise that's like, you played it and like the game is like, the game, if it wasn't part of the franchise that you loved to death, probably would have been fine. Like, but the fact that it's like part of your fucking like franchise,
I'm like a huge Thief and Metroid fanboy.
Yeah.
So, like,
Other M, yeah.
Other M is like my mega trigger word. Dude, you say Other M, I'm like, I'm getting PTSD flashbacks.
When people, the worst part is like people are like, well, if you ignore the story, the gameplay is fine. It's like, no, the gameplay is not fine. The gameplay is repetitive, boring nonsense. Don't even. Yeah, this is like, you're about to get two Metroid fans just fucking rambling on about why Other M is just the biggest piece of poop, just the worst. But yeah, so the order I played them is because I literally didn't become a Metroid fan until 2017. Like, not 2017 in May, I played all 4 of the games instantly. This is no.
Demo, what do you mean Thief 2000 was bad? Thief 2 is better than Thief 1 in my opinion.
So I, my brain is fucking farting. Oh, so, yeah, I played Metroid Zero Mission, which is the remake of Metroid 1, right? And then I was like, well, Metroid, 2 has AM2R. I was like, well, I'll play AM2R instead of the Game Boy game, right?
I'm not sure what you mean, Dan. Oh, you mean the game from 2014?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's the new Thief, the reboot Thief. That one's bad.
So
Thief 1 and Thief 2 are like the pinnacle of the stealth purist genre.
Yeah, so AM2R was like really good, and I played it, and Super Metroid, probably maybe my least favorite of all of those games in terms of the way the games actually play.
I like Super Metroid for like not a mechanical reason, but the game mechanically is great, but like it's not as good as the newer stuff. But like I love the level design.
Yes, Super Metroid's level design is probably the best. I think Zero Mission is a contender in my opinion. Like, I think Zero Mission its world is also really good. Actually, I'm not gonna go for this one.
Yeah, AM2R is really good.
So AM2R is super sick, and so
I love, my favorite boss in that game was like not even like,
was it the tester?
The one that flies and you have to constantly space jump.
It's the statue, right? The chorizo.
Yeah, that was my favorite fight.
Yeah, it was sick.
So sick.
So the funny thing is, I played the games in that order, right? Like I played Zero Mission, AM2R.
Did you play Prime?
I am actually currently playing Prime 1 right now on the Dolphin.
Okay, I have Prime 3. If you want to ever play that, like I will lend you my Wii.
Man, Prime 1 I'm having a lot of trouble with right now. But I want to power through it because I know I played Prime 2 when I was younger and I did like it. That was the only Metroid game I played and completed prior to 2017. But I haven't played it since I was like 14.
Prime 2 is good, but it's like the weakest of the primes. I think Prime 1 and Prime 3 are the best.
See, I already hate Prime 1. I think it keeps forcing me to backtrack and it's driving me crazy. It feels like it's making me play Metroid in the way I don't like to play it. Do you understand? Like,
yeah.
Like that's what it feels like for me. And I remember Metroid Prime 2 being very like difficult, and I kind of like harder.
Prime 3 is more like that because it's like,
oh, okay.
Prime 3 came out at a time when Halo 3 is coming out.
I've heard about this.
And, yeah, it's very shootery, but it does the action very well. It's by far the most actiony of the Metroid games.
Yeah, I intend to get through them all.
Yeah.
Especially before Prime 4 comes out.
Personally, I like Prime 3 the most.
Probably close. I'm just gonna reset. So yeah, I played them all, right, and then I was like, I knew Metroid 1 wasn't for me. I had tried it before. I had tried it since I even played and beaten all 4 of the 2D Metroids. And I was like, this is not for me. And I'd never even looked at Metroid 2. Like, I knew it was a game, but like I never even like tried to play it. And then I just like, I got it at like I was at a game store in a like just some old like mom and pop game store in New Jersey. On my way from the beach house my parents have, and I saw it there. It was just like $3, like just the Game Boy game. I'm like, oh, I'll buy it for $3. I like Metroid, dude. The original Game Boy game, super underrated.
Which game?
Metroid 2 on the Game Boy.
Oh yeah, Metroid 2 is good.
People talk about it like you're like, oh yeah, it's people talk about it like it's just as bad as Metroid 1.
No, it's
way.
Because Metroid 1 didn't have a map.
No, Metroid 2 doesn't have a map either. But Metroid 2 is linear, so you don't really need a map. It's like
you didn't need, yeah, that's what I mean. Because Metroid 1 had like the Super Metroid style kind of design. Where it's like, oh,
you need a map.
While Metroid 2 is like you can just kind of do one. You can go in one direction for a while.
In Metroid 2, you just go into an area, you circle the area, then you leave, you go down, and because it's just a path downwards through the planet. Like it's completely linear, and so the game is just like really fun. And I was like it's slow. It's like a slow-paced game, not like because you could play the modern Metroid, you could just like destroy them, like with all the movement options you have. You could just like destroy those games. Obviously, old Metroid 2 doesn't have that, but like I beat my first time in under 2 hours. First time I played it, I beat it in 1 hour and 59 minutes was my time. I just got the good ending for like the least clothed Samus. It's just like it was just like a really fun, pleasant game, and I was like, what the fuck?
Samus is a girl?
Yeah, it was just like good. It's like, what the hell? This is a good game. I'm surprised people don't talk about how good this game is compared. Like, I think there's maybe part of my bias is that I grew up on Game Boy, so like maybe I'm more accustomed to like it's hard to explain, but like have you ever thought about like I grew up on Game Boy, so like a stupid thing. Like, you know how in NES games it was very common to be cryptic and like have like just a lot of cryptic bullshit? Like that was the norm for like a lot of NES games back then.
Especially because in the 90s, especially the 90s, not so much the 80s because they were all like that by then, just because of limitations, but they were a lot simpler back then. But in the 90s, a lot of games were taking cues from adventure games, and adventure games had this fucking bullshit where they had to be like, combine this can of beans with this banana to make a machine gun or some bullshit like that.
So I think like if I had grown up with NES games like that, maybe I would be like more tolerant to Zelda and original Metroid, but like I didn't. So like I just think it's bullshit, you know?
Which Zelda do you not like?
I don't like Zelda 1.
Or
Zelda 2 is a little better, but Zelda 2 is infinitely better just in part because ooh, shiny. I got it. Lit. Zelda 2 I think is a little better just because the combat's really fun and the dungeons are like not bad. Like people complain about the dungeons being confusing in Zelda 2, but I don't understand because like you just go up and down an elevator and you just like walk down hallways. Like
I didn't like the side scrolling aspect of it.
I think it's not my favorite thing, but like it's fine. Like basically is what I think. You know what I mean? It's just fine.
Yeah, it was okay.
I don't like Zelda 1. And I think Zelda 1, literally, I would like it if you could figure out where to go a little easier, and also you could walk in 8 directions. But, like, you can't, and it drives me crazy. The movement is...
That's just the game being old and not aging well.
But, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you grew up in the 80s, you'd be used to it, so, like, it wouldn't... Even if it doesn't age as well, you would still be, like... It'd be like going back to your childhood, basically. Alright, chat, type in some nicknames for me, baby. But like my theory is part of the Russell. I'm not naming him Russell. I'm not doing it. You Green Darkness. I'm breaking my rule. Butterscream got a bang. I don't think that fits, Chris.
No.
I'll name it Butter. I'll name it Butters. GD, I'm breaking my rule, GD, because you wanted to name it Russell. But yeah, like I grew up in the 90s as the Game Boy era, Like, so, like, I think any faults, like, if it's just like a theory, I guess I'm having, but like, if there's like a common fault that Metroid 2 would have with other, you know, 80s or 90s Game Boy games, like, I'm probably more forgiving of it. It's like, I can't imagine what a kid who nowadays, who started with modern Pokemon games, like, what they would do trying to play Red and Blue. Like, it's like, what do you mean I need Flash to go through a cave? Like, Flash sucks. What do you mean I have to teach my Pokemon useless moves? Like, what? You know?
You gotta have variety.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah. So like, but like, I think people might just be more forgiving of what era they grew up in, basically, to forgive.
Yeah, because you kind of do have to be forgiving for older games.
Yeah, and like some people, like I've seen some like I was watching this like game, you know, YouTube reviewer or whatever. He's not like more like a retrospective or whatever, and he was like talking about a game, and he was like, yeah, like, you know, he was talking about a PlayStation 2 game. And he was like, the graphics have aged. And I'm like, it looks fine. It's a PS2 game. It looks fine. The game looks fine. Like, what are you talking about? But like, that's just because the PS2 is my first console besides the Game Boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you kind of do have to go... Yeah, it's like age, obviously, right?
It just like depends on the game you're talking about. Like, to
me, I don't think... it depends on the art style a lot. Like, Wind Waker, to me, looks
aged well. Yeah. So, like, I think, like, I watched a review of some guy, he said he thought Melee had looked like it aged. And I'm like, Melee looks like time. Like, I think Melee literally looks better than Brawl. Like, obviously everyone knows.
I don't like the gritty look either too much.
I'm a Melee fanboy, like, everyone knows. But, like, I literally think if you just, like, up-res Melee... Like, because my GameCube outputs at 480p on my HDTV. That game looks fucking beautiful. Like, obviously it doesn't look as good as fucking Smash Wii U, but like, if you had 16:9 Melee, like, I think it looks basically modern. Like, yeah. No, Brawl has a decidedly grittier look, I think. The textures are much more...
Yeah, I like the art style they're going now with, like, 4 and Ultimate. I definitely like that art style now.
It's very bright. I like brighter colors a lot. I like the... And they also...
It also ages well, because it's like...
Yeah.
That kind of, not really Borderlands style, but that cell shade is, like, Team Fortress 2 is old as fuck, but it still looks fine.
Yeah, exactly. Bay Nibba, to explain to you really quickly, I am not putting my composite cables into an HDTV and playing Melee. I would actually rather kill myself than do that. No, my GameCube has an HDMI out, so it does not, there is no lag, basically. The GameCubes, you know, older GameCubes have a port that says digital. You can buy like a fairly expensive HDMI out to plug into the digital port, and so my GameCube outputs 480p style, 480p, and
I said cell shading.
Yeah, so my Melee does not lag on my GameCube because my girlfriend like loves GameCube games. So like we played Sunshine,
Sunshine's so good.
Dude, the movement in that game is so fucking fun. Like Mario 64. That game is not fun. It is fun at first. It starts fun, and I play it, but then the more I played it,
you have to beat the game pre-120, because if you're grinding for 120, that's when the game gets like. You have to be a little kid to really enjoy that kind of grind. I feel. Older people don't like that kind of grind as much.
Dude, I became increasingly bitter towards that game. I got 50 stars, and then I backward long jump glitch, so I didn't have to play TikTok Clock or Rainbow Ride.
The maps pre like final boss, those maps suck.
Yeah, I got 50 stars. I got all the stars that I thought were fun, and then I just backwards long jumped to Bowser.
Yeah, TikTok Clock, and the Cloud maps suck.
TikTok Clock is definitely better than Rainbow Ride, but
Rainbow Ride is painful.
But TikTok Clock is also still pretty rough. The thing is, I grew up with Jack and Daxter, and I think the movement in that game is primo for a 3D platformer.
Yeah. Super Mario. Did you play the DS version of Super Mario 64?
I played it when I was a kid, and I did like it then. So I haven't played it, you know, modern.
I feel like it's because the maps are just better.
Yeah, I think that's a good chance that's true. Sunshine is really fun. We just bought a Switch. I got a fucking...
Oh, I got a Switch too.
Dude, I've been putting it off because I was like, well, I don't want to spend the money. And, like, you know, me and Amanda were going to split it.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
What game you got?
Mario Odyssey. That's the only reason I even want it.
Odyssey's good.
I want Mario Tennis Aces eventually, too, as well.
That's such a good game.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it because the only tennis game, like, I've been playing the GameCube one, and that game is fucking super good. But
Did you play the original 64 one? That game was good too.
It's fine. I just think the GameCube one is just better. Like
it is.
Yeah, I'll still like if someone's like, "Yo, I only have Mario 64, Tennis 64," I'd play it. Like it's really fun. I always get stuck in the. Do you know like the power swing where your racket glows with lightning? Like
yeah.
I've never learned that mechanic, and like I always get stuck in it. Like I know it has something to do with like holding the buttons down or whatever, but like I'm just a lazy idiot.
I think it's just A B at the same time.
Yeah. But no, a client left me $140 tip, so I was like,
wow.
I text Amanda. I was like, guess what we're getting? That's half the Switch one, and then Walmart had a deal where you could get a Switch for $330 with one game.
Nice.
So
That's nice.
yeah, so I got a Switch in Mario Odyssey, so it'll be here Friday, I hope.
Did you start it yet?
No, the Switch is gonna be here Friday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I ordered it Saturday nights, and Walmart was like, if you do the slowest shipping possible, we'll give you 50 cents off on the order, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I got nothing but time. I got nothing but time. You can give me 50 cents, I'll take that shit. Yeah, alright. I'm gonna end the stream now, guys. Thanks for being on it with me, Chris. That was really fun.
Yeah, man, that was fun. That was a good story.
That were really funny stories. Yeah, dude. You're welcome anytime you want to just chill.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Alright, good night, man.
Good night, dude.
And thank you to everyone else who was here. You guys are all amazing. And I will see you guys. Friday is my next stream, but expect a video from me on Wednesday. Goodbye, everyone.